How we doing, guys?
What are your expectations for Zack Martin and David Irving here this minicamp?
Yeah, we anticipate Zack practicing today, but really only going through individual and then working on the side. We don't anticipate David doing anything with the team. He'll work on the side.
Zack's practicing, is the deal done?
I don't know that it's officially done. I know they're awfully close, and I think both sides feel very optimistic it'll be finished. I don't really know the details beyond that.
Is that why he's not just doing stuff on the side, or is it more about because he hasn't been here?
He hasn't practiced these last 9 practices, so we just felt like it's best for him to work through the individual and then continue to work on the side with our trainers.
We're all day to day, but is the feeling on David Irving that he's kind of out of the woods in terms of some of these issues, and he'll be here today, and he'll be here tomorrow, and he's back to work?
Yeah, we all are day to day, aren't we? You know, we have to focus on this day and being great today, Fish, as you know. But, you know, David is here. We anticipate him, again, working on the side. He was in meetings in the walkthrough this morning, and he's been working through some personal issues that he's had to just kind of sort through. And he's worked very hard to get that right, and he's here, and we do anticipate him being here going forward.
With 3 of your all-pro linemen now in their second contracts, how does that kind of challenge you in putting the team together with the money you spend to keep that line intact?
It's a great question. You know, we just feel so good about those guys. And we do believe that championships are won on the offense and defensive lines. That's where it starts. It's hard to allow your skilled players on either side to be effective if you're not good up front. So we feel like we've drafted good players there. We want to keep them. Each of those guys represents exactly what we want in a football player in terms of their performance, but more so than that, just their approach each and every day. Tremendous examples to the rest of our team about how we want to play. So we feel fortunate that we have those guys. Anytime you sign players to second contracts at any position, you're challenged in a salary cap era, as you know. So you have to make choices, and you really have to draft well, and you have to make good decisions in free agency. And if you can't allocate as much money or as high a draft pick, you got to make sure some of the players emerge. And so we've tried to do a really good job of that. And we just feel good about those guys being cornerstone players for us.
It's disappointing that David seems to always be going through something, you know, it was last year or this year, you know, how do you get him to get everything?
Yeah, don't really think of it in those terms. I just know as coaches, it's our job to help develop players, both on and off the field. And we'll continue to try to do that with David. We have a lot of guys on our football team who do things the way we want them to do it. Off the field, on the field, they're great examples to each other, and there's always a handful of guys who are working through things. It's our job to help them. It's their job to make sure they're professional and they do things the right way. So we'll continue to work with him, and hopefully he's gotten some things off the field squared away and he's ready to get back to work.
With Zack close on his next contract, how do you reflect going back to your early days as the head coach and sort of rebuilding that offensive line?
Well, it was the #1 priority for us. You know, if you remember at that time, you know, teams go in cycles, and that cycle had a lot of good players on the offensive line, but they were getting older, and they were all paid a lot of money, and we had to make some hard decisions. So I think my first year we replaced 3 veteran starters, guys who had been really good players, and it took us a while to rebuild it the way we wanted to rebuild it. We had a lot of free agents playing. We had a lot of late draft picks playing. We had a lot of guys who just got off the street playing offensive line for us. And, you know, it reinforced that idea of you got to build it with the offense and defensive lines in order to allow your skill to have some success. And, you know, we drafted Tyron first, certainly a building block player, a cornerstone player for us. He's been everything we anticipated and more. And then we continue with Travis and Zack. So, you know, allocating high resources, obviously, but we feel like that's an important part of playing good football. And that's what's allowed our skill, our quarterbacks and our runners and our receivers to play well since we've gotten those guys.
Can you talk about Zack's balance? Guys say they never see him on the ground, and they always see him somehow being able to recover from bad when he's in bad situations.
Yeah, he's a really good football player for so many different reasons, and balance is one of them. He's a great technician. He's a really, really smart guy. He anticipates situations. And then when he gets in bad situations, he physically can recover because of the athlete that he is, the balance that he has. But I think the other part of that is just his mentality and how he fights. You know, he's one of those guys that we use as an example with our team a lot about just how he plays. He always finishes through the whistle. There's always a last shove. There's always a competitive fight right at the end of the down. So I think when you put all that together, his smarts, his technique, his athleticism, his ability to recover, and then his mentality, you get the kind of player we're talking about.
Does all of that play into why you moved him into Witten's old locker?
I think that's a long conversation. He certainly represents everything, the things that Witt represented over the course of 15 years. You know, those are the kind of guys you want on your team. Those are the kind of guys you want as the face of your program. Come to work early, they stay late, they do everything the right way, they play the game at a high level. So, yeah, we gave him a chance to be over there. Our leaders are in those key spots as you come in and out of our locker room, and he's certainly one of them.
Is everyone here that you expected? I know we talked about David, but.
Yes.
Okay. And anyone else not practicing other than David and Zack?
A handful of guys. LP's not going to practice. Deontay Thompson's not going to practice. Charles Tapper is going to be back today. Tavon's going to practice today. We're not going to see Malik Collins. We're not going to see Lewis Neal. Some of the guys who haven't been practicing, they won't practice. They're still on that schedule to keep rehabbing and get ready for training camp.
What about Leighton Vander Esch? What's going on with his ankle?
Vander Esch is not going to practice today.
What's wrong with him?
He hurt his ankle, and he's still rehabbing. He's been in meetings and walkthroughs, and he'll do some stuff on the side with our trainers.
The Packers, I think, sent home all of their, or a good portion of their veterans, fifth year or more, not to take part in the minicamp. Have you ever considered doing something like that, or is your team too young to even?
Well, we need the practice. You know, you're allowed 10 OTA days. We take 9 of them. That last day we use for Cowboys U. We feel like it's set up well. You get 3 weeks of OTAs, 3 practice days each week, and then you come back for the mini camp. You've had a few days of rest, and you know, we feel like this is an important part of us developing our football team. And you know, different teams will do things for different reasons. We think this is what works best for our team.
Other than the fact, Jason, that this is mandatory, is there anything that changes from what they've been doing?
A little bit of tweaks to the schedule of the day. In OTAs, we don't meet after practice. We will meet after practice each day this week. Gives you a chance to watch the tape and kind of clean up the day before you go into the install for the next day. You know, we do a lot of situational stuff throughout OTAs. We'll do more of that today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Just put the ball down and play in different situations throughout the game. Really, other than that, a couple of tweaks to the meeting schedule, but nothing more than that.
On surface, this looks like a younger team, young age-wise. What are the challenges presenting to you in that regard?
Well, just lack of experience. You know, it is a younger team. We only have 3 guys who are 30 or over. 2 of them are specialists. So if you look at the offense and defensive side of the ball, there's a lot of guys who are in their 20s, a lot of guys in their early and mid-20s. And, you know, I don't think that's unique to us. I think the league is trending younger in recent years. I think the rules are set up that way. The salary cap is set up that way. And we've been a young team for a few years now. But there are some veteran guys who have been with us who aren't with us anymore. So, you know, to me, it's a great challenge for us as a coaching staff. It's a great challenge for some of the better players we have on our team to step up as leaders. And we're trying to empower them as best we can. They've been good examples to guys throughout their careers, and they have to kind of step up into that role, be the first guy in line, show everybody else how to do it. And again, that's an energizing thing for all of us.
How much progress has Rico Gathers made, and what does he have to do to see the field this season?
Oh, Rico's made a lot of progress. You know his history. He hasn't played football since he was in junior high. So, you know, there are a lot of steps that he has to take to get himself ready to play at this level, and he's worked very hard at that. You know, his position is not an easy one. You know, he's obviously very significant in the running game. You know, so you're kind of part offensive lineman in the running game. You can be a protector, and then you're a route runner. So you're deeply involved in all aspects of the game, and some of it comes more easily to him. Some of the route running and the pass receiving stuff, I think, comes more naturally. I think he's learning more about scheme, our scheme, the schemes he faces, and the blocking assignments, as well as the technique. And I think he's worked very hard, and he's made a lot of progress in all those areas.
When you got here, DeMarcus Ware was around, and every year he'd get 10+ sacks and go to the Pro Bowl. What's the challenge that DeMarcus Lawrence faces as he looks to, you know, repeat that season he had last year and get double-digit sacks and be that kind of guy with the attention you should get?
Yeah, I think it's just that. I think it's attention, and you know, he's gotten attention throughout his career. He certainly got a lot of attention as the year went on. last year. Typically when you're an offense, you go into games and you try to identify the guys who can wreck the game, if you will. And D. Ware's been a guy who wrecked a lot of games throughout his career, and I think DeMarcus had that kind of an impact last year. So typically what offensive coaches do is you say, okay, we got to give this guy some help, whether it's the tackle or the guard, or you're going to keep a tight end in or a back in. You try to do those things each and every week to slow some of those guys down. So he got a lot of that attention last year. He'll continue to get that attention. One of the things that we have to do is make sure we have some other guys who warrant some attention as well. And when he's getting an extra guy over there on him, the other guys have to win their one-on-ones to command some attention to free D-Law. So it's always about a team. It's always about those guys working together up front. So hopefully we'll have some of those guys who are able to do that.
Are you a believer in an offense being among the elite without a so-called number one receiver?
You've heard me say this a lot. The best offenses I've been around, they attack defenses a lot of different ways. So if you ever make it about one thing, you're probably not going to be real good in this league for a long time, because teams do such a good job taking those things away. So when you break the huddle, if you have a lot of different ways to attack, the defense, that's better. It starts with run and pass. You want to be balanced there. And then, in your passing game, if you have different guys you can throw it to, certainly there's value to having an elite guy. You go play the Atlanta Falcons, there's Julio Jones. We got to give that guy some attention. He can change the game. So, when you have a guy like that, not unlike a great pass rusher, that makes the life of the other guys that much easier. They're getting less attention. They're getting one-on-one matchups. They're getting some favorable looks. That can certainly make their life that much easier. So when you have that guy, that helps. But I think the biggest thing is just being able to attack a defense a lot of different ways, run and pass, and then have different guys that you can count on.
Throughout the OTAs, y'all had 7, 8, 9 of those receivers going through with your first team. Is there a thought process there beyond just keeping it moving or just trying to get as many reps as possible?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we try to do right now is create a competitive environment. For the 90 guys to try to make our team, and then for guys to have roles within that. So, we're not overly locked into depth charts right now. Okay, we're changing the depth chart on Wednesday because of how somebody did on Tuesday. That's not really how we're looking at it right now. Once we get to training camp, we'll get locked in a little bit more on that. We want all the different guys to have a chance to work. Certainly the receiver position, it's a position that you rotate a lot anyway. A lot of guys are in and out of that huddle. But we just think that's what we want to do this time of year, give everybody a chance to compete and show what they got.
Last couple of OTAs we've been out here, Tyron hasn't taken part in team drills. Is that a maintenance plan or is there something?
He had a little shoulder thing that was bothering him, and we just didn't think he needed to be in those reps. He was working in individual and then working on the side after that. We do anticipate him practicing today.
Can you talk about Katie Cannon? How do you see him kind of fitting into the offense, and what would you say maybe he brings to the table?
Yeah, KD's doing a nice job. We got him right at the end of last year, and he probably practiced with us for a week or so. We got a chance to see him then, and he's come back. He's certainly a very talented guy. He can run. He's got really good speed, speed that can threaten a defense. His biggest challenge is understanding what we're doing and making sure he's on top of his assignments as he's learning this new system. And again, he's worked very hard at that, but he can be a guy that can threaten a defense because of how fast he is.
You have a few players on your 90-man who played quarterback in college and are now over to defense. What perspective do you think that gives them when they're looking at that?
Oh, I think it's probably different for each of them. But if you think about it, quarterbacks have kind of a more global view of things. Certainly on the offensive side of the ball, they have a good understanding of everybody's role and responsibility and how it all fits together. When you flip it over to defense, if you have that same perspective, maybe you have a better idea of what the offense is trying to do. I think that's helped Jamel Showers at safety. I think, as he's playing more, I think he's trusting that knowledge that he has, and he's playing with better instincts. So I think anytime you have that perspective, I think it can help you if you use it the right way.
I know it's early in the process, but do you see the young defensive backs, Awuzie and Lewis, fitting in with what Coach Rashard wants to do, the secondary coach?
Yeah, we do. We like those guys, and we felt like they did a good job last year, acclimating as rookies, and Chris has come in and done a really nice job, not only with the young guys, but with the veteran guys. Again, the DNA of our defense won't change dramatically. I think it comes from the same place, but there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of detail in there. And I think the guys are doing a good job responding to Chris, and I think he's doing a really good job just coaching them. I think you see him get better and better every day.
Where does camaraderie, chemistry play into a team's success?
Oh, I think it's significant. I think it's really, really important. The culture of your football team, like any organization, is critical to your success. You want to create a really good environment for each individual to be their best, the units to be their best, and ultimately their team to be the best. So you get the right kind of guys, you get guys who get along, who share the same kind of values, understand what the standards are. I think that's all really positive, and hopefully that carries from the field to the locker room to off the field. When you spend a lot of time with each other, you get invested in each other, you want to do for each other, those are all really good things for a team.
Do you see some similarities between the youth and talent of this team and the teams of the early 90s that you were a part of?
I think that's an unfair comparison. I'm not really a big comparison guy. If you look at those teams, I mean, you got first ballot Hall of Famers on those teams, really some rare football players. And it was a young team, but really some special players. And I was really fortunate to be a part of those teams. And, you know, the way those teams went about it was really special too. They came to work every day. They had fun playing football, but they worked at it. And to me, that's really what we're trying to instill in our team. Let's get here early, let's stay late, let's work hard at it, let's have some fun playing football together. I think those are some of the takeaways from those teams in the early 90s.
Thank you.
All right, great to see you guys.